Good morning, guys, and welcome to Cool Tool Tuesday. It's going to be a new segment I'm doing on the channel, and it's going to showcase really cool and interesting, innovative products. So from time to time, I get sent some really neat things, and I can either keep it to myself and, not share with you guys, but I'd rather share with you guys the cool stuff that I'm offered or I'm getting. Today we got a special tool. It's kind of designed to help you out, whether, in an emergency situation where the power goes out, or, even to replace a gas-powered generator. So that's what we're going to review today, is a Bluetti solar generator, and it's brand new. It's right on the market right now. It's really cool, and let's get right into it. All right, guys, what we have here is the Bluetti AC 200P power solar generator. This thing is really cool. It comes in around 60 pounds. It's got 2,000 watt hours of storage. It can power everything you can imagine. Let's start off with the two wireless charging ports on top. You can put your cell phone on here or here, and you can charge your device that way. We've got our 12 volt 8mm adapters here. We've also got a 12 volt cigarette lighter adapter or car charging port. We have two sets of 2 ports, so we have 4 ports USB here, and we have AC ports here with 2,000 watt output, so we can plug 6 devices in simultaneously. What I like about this pack is it's got little rubber grommets here, and that plugs stuff that you're not using, and it also keeps the dust out if you're having construction and whatnot. So you can just close it out, and it offers a little bit of moisture protection as well. The other cool feature about the Bluetti is it's got a touchscreen control panel, so when you want to switch between your DC or your AC, you just click on your screen and you can select AC or DC from the screen, and it gives you a beep and it tells you what it's doing, which is kind of cool. The thing about this screen is it's very intuitive. It's kind of like your phone. It feels right when you use it. The control panel keeps track of your usage. Once you click on the AC button and you have AC powered devices, any kind of AC device you plug into it, it'll display the usage that it's using. There's also a button there that shows you the data, so if there's any faults, it'll register and log them. The control panel also displays the amount of power that's left inside the pack, and anytime you use the pack, it'll show you how much it's depleted. You'll notice that this product is particularly cubish, and what's really neat about it is that you can store it maybe under a desk or even like in your kitchen, in your cupboard, and it doesn't take up that much space. The thing is about this pack is it weighs 60 pounds, so it needs 2 handles to pick it up. It's not exactly the most portable thing, but what it trades off in portability, it gains in usability. It has 2,000 watt hours of power. Another pack of a smaller size usually carries anywhere between 300 watt hours to 1,000 watt hours. This thing comes in above all of the other ones at 2,000 watt hours, giving you more runtime. I can see myself taking this pack out into the forest and building myself at least half of a cabin with it. It's got enough power in here to power either my skill saw, my electric chainsaw, charge my tools, my batteries for my my cordless tools, or even using a skill saw or a table saw. It'll basically power anything you can imagine. It'll plug into 2,000 watts worth of usage. On the side of the Bluetti, there's 2 inputs that allows you to either charge it with your house power or through your photovoltaic cells or your solar panels, or you can charge it through your car. It's got a pure sine inverter, which gives you the purest AC power available. And it's got these cooling fans, so if the inverter gets hot, it turns on and makes sure your inverter doesn't overheat. On top here, it's got 2 wireless charging ports. So what you do is you place your phone on top of here and it charges it wirelessly. Bluetti offers optional solar panels that you can purchase separately. What's really neat about them is they come and folded up with a really convenient handle. They also have all the wires you need in this little pack here, and then they have this little standoff right here that folds out to give you the proper angle to the sun. Once they're folded out, they're about 6 feet long, and you can hook up a total of 3 of them, giving you 600 watts of charging power. When I build, I use a lot of power, so what I've done is I've got 3 solar panels in order to charge my pack to the maximum efficiency. All right, now that we've gone over the basics of this pack, we're gonna give this thing a little bit of a torture test. We're gonna run some of the high drain devices I have and see how it performs. All right, first thing on the docket is the compressor test. This draws a lot of energy at startup. It doesn't usually use a lot during runtime, but let's see how it handles it. And then 1,000 watts. Oh yeah, she's humming. We'll let that continue on for a second. I'm gonna set up my chainsaw. That thing peaked at 1,200 watts to draw, and she's fully charged up. Compressor's ready to go. So this thing here is a 6-gallon air compressor. So that's went from no pressure to 140 PSI at 6 gallons, which is a considerable amount of energy to have stored. So this thing will run your brad nailer for quite a long time, or your framing nailer for a little bit. But the thing is the initial charge is going to take the most amount of juice. We actually dropped 3% just by charging that thing. Now I don't know if that's just because it was from 0 to fully charged, but we'll see. Maybe we'll drain it and see. We'll do it again. Let's do it again. Where's my release? Turn it off. We'll fully drain it right down. Okay, so we're going to see how much of the battery pack it uses to take a 6-gallon air compressor to full 140 PSI. So we went from 0 to 160 PSI. We used 3% of our battery, which is not bad because we stored all our energy in the compressor. In turn, we can use this energy that's in the compressor to drive our nails and yeah, finish our project. Next, I want to try my electric chainsaw. This is a Craftsman 16-inch electric chainsaw. Now, this thing regularly pops my household breaker when I'm running it. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's slightly over 15 amp. I'm not sure, but I'm going to plug it into the Bluetti and see how she cuts. The whole point of having a battery pack stored is to have useful energy if the power was to go out, or if you needed to use it in an off-grid situation. The thing is, once you've stored your power, you can use it at any time to do what you want to do with it. Like cutting wood, for example, using stored battery. I could always use a handsaw to cut this thing, but it's a lot easier to use a stored battery pack in order to cut something using electricity. Let's see how this works. So I've used my chainsaw to cut up enough firewood to cook myself some dinner if I want to do an open fire. I used about 2% of my battery to cut that many cuts. As the chainsaw encounters resistance, it actually uses more power. We peaked at around 1500 watts. And the power pack, the inverter, actually the cooling hasn't even come on yet. So that's, heat dissipation worked perfectly. What I want to do is I want to grab my chop saw. Now this chop saw I've run with different power packs and I've killed them. So I want to try this particular chop saw with this particular pack to see how it handles it. It's heavy too. This particular chop saw is a Makita with a 12-inch blade on it, and it's a 15 amp saw. So it's pretty much at your max of running any kind of residential power in your 15 amp circuit. The thing about this saw is it's old, so the actual starter motor requires a lot more energy to get it going. That's what I found using other power packs. The actual other power packs said overload, and it would just kicked off. So I want to try it on this Bluetti. So this test here is going to test the initial startup. So there's a surge draw on devices, the initial start, like your refrigerator, when it first starts up, it's got the initial hard draw and then it just kind of peters out. This is the same thing with this thing. It winds up and then once it's going, it's going to continue on. So this particular pack seems to be able to handle that okay because it allows it to run. So I've run this particular saw on different powder packs and they haven't fared that well. So if this thing doesn't kill it, nothing will. This saw in particular far exceeds the capacity of most batteries. The Bluetti handled it pretty much flawlessly. Its max draw was 2,900 watts initial startup, and then it leveled out around 375 watts running. But normal batteries, what happens is it overloads and it just shuts down. But this one handled it perfect. I wouldn't recommend using this particular saw with any type of battery because you might kill the battery. Well, the reason why we're doing this in the first place is because this is a torture test. I don't recommend you doing this with any of your batteries because the battery capacity is exceeded. Okay, so now we're going to try something a little different. Now, maybe construction isn't your thing and maybe you want to try something else. Maybe, you know, say you're off-gridding and you want your refrigerator to be powered. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to the Glamper and pick up the refrigerator. It's a 12-volt refrigerator, and we're going to power that thing. The good thing about the Bluetti is that it's got a 12-volt continuous stream. Anytime you're dealing with a refrigerator, you always want to make sure that it's a constant 12 volts because the compressor does something funny when there's weird power going on. So let's just put this away. We'll go grab the refrigerator. We'll test it out. So follow me over to the Glamper. We're just going to grab the cooler and give it a whirl. This is a 12-volt refrigerator for camping or whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our Bluetti on to DC power. Plug it in. Set the temperature on the refrigerator to -7, so it's going to act like a freezer. We're drawing 31 watts off of the battery. I can feel it humming away. So that'll keep our stuff nice and cold, nice and frozen. Maybe you don't have a 12-volt cooler, but you have a refrigerator in your house. The Bluetti will actually handle your refrigerator in your house if the power goes out. You can just plug it in seamlessly and carry on with life. So I'm going to head down to the log cabin now just to give us an idea on the cooking appliances to see how well it handles those things. All right, we're just going to hook this thing up to this power. We're going to get some lights on. So if you were to, have this thing and you have your off-grid property, you would charge it either at home or out with the solar, bring it in, set it up, and then plug it in. It's plug and play. Everything is good to go. We're at currently 86%, so we're not doing too bad. And let's see if it'll power our kitchen appliances. All right, let's see what we can do. Let's throw the toaster on. All right, so we fired up our toaster. We're pulling, it's 1200 watts right now. So if we had some toast in there, we could fire up. We can make our toast, make our grilled cheese, toast pretty much anything. Rewarm our pizza. We'd be all set. We're currently drawing 1188 watts. That's what our toaster draws, so that's not bad. It seems to the inverter. You can see here the inverter turned on. It's cooling the inverter, so that's doing its thing. It doesn't seem to be overheating at all. It does draw a lot of power whenever you're heating something because it's using heat. It's converting energy back into heat. So that's seems to be performing well. For you at home, if the power was to go out or you have an ice storm or whatnot, you would just carry on as normal because you have all the power you need to make lunch or dinner for that matter. We also have a hot plate here, so if you want to boil some water, if you wanted to make tea or coffee or something like that, you could just set it on top. We don't have any. Do we have any water in here? No. We just set it on top, the induction range, and away it goes. Maybe if the power goes out, you don't want to abuse your Bluetti by making toast. Maybe you just want to keep the lights on. It could power lights for a really, really long time. We're currently drawing 50 watts or so to give us into, like, our entire cabin's got lights on. So if you're at home and you're turning the lamp on, you could probably power it for weeks. So most of you guys out there are probably going to be using this particular battery as a, disaster preparedness if the power goes out at your house and you want to power your home appliances. So I can't think of a better way to try this thing out than it is to plug in every single home appliance I have. So let's start with the toaster. So we're going to plug the toaster in. We're going to hit the toast button. We're at 1100 watts. All right, that's going. Let's plug in the kettle. Kettle is on. We are drawing 20. Oh, that's it. We can't run the kettle and the toaster on at the same time. That was sort of a given, wasn't it? Or is it? What's it going to do? It says over voltage. I think that's a little bit too much, but that's too much for anything, really. That was a lot of juice. Let's see here. All right, so the toaster's still toasting. Let's just stop. We'll stop the toaster. Let's try just the kettle. We're running the kettle. We got her on. We're at 1500 watts. So as you guys know, this power pack is rated for 2000 watts maximum use. Well, I didn't really think it was going to take 5 appliances at the same time, or even 6 appliances at the same time. But what I find interesting that I was able to plug them in and turn them on, and the battery actually warned me that it was overloaded. It didn't break, which is very cool because you're not always paying attention. Maybe you're plugging too much things in, and it just says overloaded, and then you unplug it and carry on, which is really cool because you don't want an expensive device like this just kind of exploding, right? It's a different combination of stuff. You could use it. You could plug it all in at the same time, but you can't necessarily run it at the same time. Let's try the waffle maker. See if we can run the waffle maker and the kettle at the same time. We're at 2000 watts and holding. So look at that. We can run the waffle maker and the kettle at the same time. That's pretty cool. You can hear the inverter kicking on. It's running at its full potential right now. We're at 2004 watts, 2006 watts, 2007 watts, and that's actually more wattage than your typical household socket that you would have on your countertop. So that's pretty cool. We can make waffles and make some tea at the same time. All right, so we're gonna plug the kettle. We're almost boiling there, so we'll plug the waffle maker, and let's try the deep fryer by itself. We're drawing 1400 watts on the deep fryer, so we can have my French fries, no problem. Deep fry my pierogies, be all set. In the event of a power outage, you always want your French fries. So as you can see, we've done everything today, and we're still at 70% battery, so we did quite a bit of work, or 77% battery. We've done quite a bit of work, and we'll be able to cook dinner at night. All right, now we're gonna do the ultimate test. We're gonna try welding with a battery. I've got my Easy MIG 140 welder. We're gonna plug it into the Bluetti and see how it performs. I've never tried this before. I don't recommend doing this. We're gonna try it out and see what happens. Got my safety first. Gotta wear my welding gloves. My welding gloves. Why can't I find my welding gloves? I think they're over here. Winding up, and then we're gonna go full power. We're not even half power. We're going full power. There. Gotta hook up my grounding. There, we got my ground hooked up on here. We're just gonna lay a couple of beads to see how this thing performs. My warning to the cameraman: don't stare at this, cameraman. Okay, let's give her a whirl. Where's my gun? You ready at home? Let's see if this thing works. We're at 74% battery. This is our welding test of the Bluetti AC 200p. Oh, what did she do? She went for a little bit. That might have been a little bit too much for her. Let's turn it down just a smidge and see if we can go for longer. I think that was just warning us that it might be too much. Well, that worked out pretty good on C, which I guess is not full power on the welder, but we were able to do it. It does work, you know, in a pinch if you needed to run your welder on a battery. This thing's the way to do it. That's pretty cool. We're at 73% power. We didn't use as much as I thought we were going to use. When I had it at D, it was giving me a warning that it was using too much juice. But when I had her back down to C, I was able to weld without it giving me an overload protection, which is kind of cool. So you can weld with this thing, you just can't weld at full power. Well guys, I pretty much put the Bluetti AC 200p through its paces today. We tested a lot of the major tools that I use on a regular basis at the off-grid, and it seemed to perform excellently. And I've also tested some of the stuff I don't normally use, which is the kitchen appliances, and they seem to work okay too. And then the ultimate torture test, which is the welder, which is crazy. It performed better than expected. So if you guys are looking to pick yourself up one of these Bluetti guys, Bluetti AC 200p, the link will be in the description below. You can click on it and pick yourself up one. Thanks for watching.